Okay. Okay. All right. Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream. March 23rd is the program where we bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential. Companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities at a key inflection point with multiple catalysts in place. Again, this is proven. This investment philosophy has proven very successful in the last couple of years. We've brought you 9 stocks up between 1,000 and 5,000%. Let's see if Liquid Avatar is going to join that pantheon of 10 baggers plus. A lot of progress being made. So David, great to have you back on.
Thanks, Jack. It's great to be here.
So David, what I want to do today really is, I want to, it's been a while since you were last on. So I want to go through a couple of the news items, but what I'd like to do is, if we have time, I'd like to open up for audience questions, because last time, we didn't get a chance to, we get a lot of questions and we ran out of time. So
sure.
With that said, I want to kind of ask you, let's go through some of the recent news. You've had, the other day you had a major news announcement, which I don't think investors quite understood. I don't think they quite understood the significance of it, which is, you're launching the first ever payment card specifically for the Metaverse. And, I thought the stock would have probably been up like 30, 40% on that news. Explain to us exactly what you're doing here, what this means, and this upside potential here.
Super. So I'll qualify it a little bit. It's a card that has Metaverse rewards initially. So it is built for the Metaverse. You're 100% correct. So traditionally, when we use payment cards, whether they're debit cards or credit cards, we can earn points, we can earn fees, we can earn cash back. There's all kinds of things we can do. There's all kinds of benefits to a card program. We have many of those built into our system. But what no one has done to date is connect the point between a payment card and the Metaverse. And so what we've done, because we own all the factors of production, we're actually able to allow people to earn reward points that they can turn into Metaverse-based items, related NFT items. So here's a really cool thing. You can go shopping for groceries and gain virtual land. So it's new, it's innovative. We're launching it initially in the United States, and then we'll be taking it back to Canada and we hope other regions. That's our goal.
Okay.
But it is new, it is innovative, and it is very exciting. And we're getting a lot of calls from brands and operators around this program.
Okay, and I'm assuming at some point you could expand to other things like in-game items, all the other
That's
things.
Absolutely right. Yep.
All basically Bored Apes, what have you. I mean, you could expand to all the stuff out there.
Absolutely. Look, we're starting with the things that we have control over, which is Aftermath Islands, but we already have interest from other parties that have said, this is really cool. How do we get on board? So for us, and here's the really cool part, is that people who use payment cards, whether again debit or credit cards, they have a lifetime value equation that is industry recognized. So this is now FI. So this is global digital blockchain and FI, which is part of our mandate. So as we build this contingent of users of our program, there is true and tried metrics that are associated with that product. And this has been in planning stage, for several years. This is not new. And just adding that last piece, which is the Metaverse, we believe is the ultimate hook or opportunity to get people engaged. It doesn't mean that you still can't earn cash back and you still can't get other great rewards, but we're going to add to those by adding Metaverse rewards to the card as well. It's very exciting.
And also let's, kind of that whole payment rewards thing, the customer day, that's really kind of like your expertise. This is what you've been doing for, decades, since you were 2 years old, you're
at least 2, maybe 3.
No, but you were doing this. I mean, so this is like really a level of expertise. Can you explain exactly, in terms of the market potential for this? Like, because the payment cards, we kind of take it for granted now, but these things there's a real value. Let's go through some of the numbers so people can understand. exactly like how big just this part of your business can scale, just this growth initiative with the Metaverse payment debit card. Like, how big is that opportunity once it really starts to go to go?
Well, it's difficult to quantify at this point in time because we're just rolling it out. And
Give us an
again,
example.
I know where
Comps.
you're going, but there's been numbers associated with a lifetime value of card users that range from $300 per card user to $1,000 or even higher per card user. So you're seeing valuations in the marketplace that if you had a million cardholders, your company could be worth $1 billion. So those are numbers that are generally accepted by the industry. And so we're seeing, again, it could be 300 million, but these are really tried and true numbers that we can see and understand. And I think at the end of the day, we're also seeing the opportunities that how does a card user use this for payment? So I was not sure where that music was coming from. So
Okay, so I think you can hear me okay?
yeah.
Yeah, there's just a little construction noise next door here. So anyway, so I think the market for let's say you get 100,000 people on this card, right? Which is not a lot because there's a lot of people who are interested in NFTs, Metaverse. It's a whole, millennium.
Right.
It's a whole new thing, right? So if you get 100,000 people, that's potentially worth $30 million on the low end, just that.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Again, subject to all kinds of caveats, but those are reasonable industry numbers. We've seen numbers with companies like Revolut and other companies reach up to $1,000 associated value per user. But again, I always say this, and Jack, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, that everybody has to do their own due diligence, which they should. And we're quoting numbers that we're not giving. These are internal numbers that we know, so they're not. I'm not giving reference to those numbers, but these are the numbers that we are seeing in the industry.
Okay, so this is just one of your things. Let's go through some of the other news because I think anybody watching, kind of the news flow coming from Liquid Avatar, they've noticed. It's actually first of all, you've been really, delivering a lot of progress. I would say it looks like things started accelerating 2 months ago, roughly 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden we're starting to see a very steady flow of news, a lot of progress. You got the virtual land sales, you got all sorts of growth initiatives going on. So let's talk about the virtual land sales because I find that fascinating. What's
Right.
going on there? Let's first, for anybody that's new, explain to us what you're doing there.
So again, I'm going to go to the basics of our core business. Our core business is digital identity. Well, that's not sexy. It is a massive driver for Web3 and the future, and even game engines like Unity and organizations like Microsoft are talking about how digital identity will support and be part of the next generation of the internet, being Web 3.0 or the Metaverse, and so. From there, we look at avatars and digital certificates and NFTs, and then we look at the metaverse. And in November of this past year, in 2021, we launched Aftermath Islands. So we started with the initial launch of Aftermath Islands, and we saw great progress in land sales, virtual land sales. People who want to own plots or parcels of virtual land on one of our islands. And for us, that's a great stake in the ground, and that's effectively an NFT. And we're launching. We've been continuously launching new programs around that, but ultimately, it drives back that it's sort of if anyone's a parent out there and they've ever seen this book, if you give them us a cookie, right? If you buy virtual land, you're going to need an avatar, and if you need an avatar, you're going to need stuff to put on the avatar, stuff to put in the house. And ultimately, in our metaverse, and we hope others, and we're talking to others, you'll need to verify in some semblance that you are a real person. So we're focused on what I say anonymity with assurance to know that you're a real person because, Jack, parents and others are tired of trying to protect their children and themselves from bad actors in a virtual setting. So with our ID systems and our avatar systems and our metaverse, we can connect all the dots.
Okay, and but let's get to the juicy part, which is land sales and the digital. Because all of a sudden, I mean, I think you're one of the few pure play stocks in the metaverse. I mean, like literally, this is one of the few pure plays, especially for sure, definitely, which is generating substantial revenues. Last time you were on, I think you were up to like you had sold like $1 million worth of, and that was in a couple of months. So
that was for Q4. That was for Q4.
Okay, which is big, because look, we know that anytime you have a stock which is an disruptive innovation stock, the multiples of revenue can become huge, 30x, 40x, 50x, whatever it is. So, in theory, if you only do 5 million in sales, the market could put a value on that of 20 times, 100 million, 200 million, easy.
Okay.
And how are you doing in terms of have you sold more? Like how is progress?
Sales are strong, and I want to comment here because many people out there who understand the NFT market have seen a consolidation, or some would say a softening of the market, and that's because bad projects are falling off the rails. What we did, which was very unique, extremely unique, is you can buy our virtual land not only with cryptocurrency, but you can buy it using PayPal, which is a very unique premise. So we've opened up the size of the market to be much larger. We also, I'm very pleased, I can't comment on numbers yet because we haven't talked about them, but I'm very pleased. Think of Q4. Q4 is the retail, so panacea of a year. It's where everybody spends money, and then going into Q1, everybody basically says, now I got to pay for everything. Couple that with, unfortunately, some of the economic things that have been going on, and some world events, the markets have been a bit tumultuous in the last several weeks, right?
Just a little bit.
I just want to say comment a little bit. So our numbers are very, very strong in our humble opinion, and we're seeing great results. I mean, we launched Vegas Island, we launched Cannabis Cove. We're doing a project for moms. I know that's a little bit unusual, but we've got a large Facebook group behind that. We've got more really cool projects coming out, and we're still doing extremely well, in my humble opinion, with our programs. And we're seeing strength. We've launched a program with Lethbridge College in Lethbridge, Alberta, with their IDT department. So we're looking at, over the next couple of years, adding 9,000 students to the program. We're testing college programs in the US. So we're seeing a lot of opportunity in our space, with a lot of opportunity for growth.
Okay. So we can see, when can we see some more numbers reported on what you're doing?
Well, our year end is due at the end of April, and then our first quarter isn't due to somewhere thereafter. But if I think what we will do is we won't give guidance, because we're not allowed to, and that's not our mandate. Sorry. But I think we will be able to talk a little bit more about our progress in the coming weeks.
Okay, let's get to some audience questions. We got a message from Chuck Zito. Wasn't that the guy from the Hells Angels? I think that was right. I think he was whatever. Anyway,
don't ignore questions.
So we don't want to ignore the Hells Angels here. Let's get to, okay, so JP asking, what is Dave's long-term vision for Liquid Avatar? Does he prefer them being around as its own entity or being bought out? What is the play here, David? Are you
we're building for growth. That our focus is, how do we maximize shareholder value? I mean, as insiders, we often get asked, this is a bit of a circuitous answer, but we often get asked, why aren't we purchasing stock every day? Because we know what's going on, and we're very much restricted in what we can do. But we're also last out in most cases because of our escrows and everything else. So we want to see tremendous growth and value. And where that takes us, we're not sure yet. But right now, we are laser focused on growth and building revenues.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the other news announcements you've had, and how they. I think you should actually really go through some of the milestones you've announced in the last 6 weeks, because again, people have been distracted. You have a war going on in Europe. You got the market has been crashing. There's also volatility in the world. I think it's important to kind of reinforce that people understand that, this company is really like, even if the stock is not going up like every 30 seconds, the company has made some tremendous progress where at some point in time, that value should be reflected in the market. I mean, because that's usually what happens. The value catches up to the stock, or the stock catches up to the value. So let's
Right.
go through all that.
So again, I think some of the big announcements was the one this week with the card program. Our announcement with Lethbridge College. We've been sprinkling in other opportunities around. We've been testing different types of technology, and while we're very much committed to a realistic view of a virtual world, we can't forget that Meta, formerly Facebook, is a major player in the industry. So we've already to date launched 3 demos of Meta-based product. And that doesn't mean that's where we're going. We just want to make sure that that's an opportunity to get there. We've also talked about our Lost Kingdom of Tessara, which is our play-to-earn game. And why that game is really important is because it's going to give players for free the ability to generate resources and tokens, utility tokens, for our platform. And we're not deploying some of the more traditional blockchain methodologies of NFT staking and all that because again, because of the way that we're built, we want to attract the crypto purists, but we also want to attract the wider fiat based audience, and they are not sophisticated. So if I mention NFT staking to someone, their eyes glaze over and they just go like, what are you talking about? But if I say to you, look, if you mine a bucket of gold and you want to take that gold and turn it into a bigger shovel so you can mine more gold, they understand that. And that is sort of pseudo staking. So we're really working on delivery. So Jack, what our mandate has been is say something and deliver something. And that's, I think, what we're doing.
Okay, so the game. Okay, Dave? Let's go through like what. Actually, before I ask you what you have coming up, the Lethbridge College announcement. I completely forgot to ask you about that.
Yeah.
First of all, what exactly are you doing with them? What is the partnership about?
Well, the partnership is pretty simple. We're staking a future with Lethbridge and other colleges, and we're starting with Lethbridge. So we're going to be involved with Lethbridge's design and technology programs to involve students in helping build Aftermath Island, creating projects. But in return, provide advice, some entrepreneurship advice, some mentoring. But in return, we're also going to give them the entire campus, plots of land that they can acquire with their EDU or their Lethbridge College email, because we want to verify that we're only giving it to the right people. And we're giving the campus itself a large parcel of land on Lethbridge College Island. So we're creating a unique island just for the college. Now, if anyone is a fan of Ready Player One, they'll know that that's every school had its own sort of virtual presence in the virtual environment. So we're taking that situation, saying we want to work with colleges and universities. We want to work with high schools. When we go to middle school and below, we start to deal with younger people that may be under the age of consent. It's not that we don't want to work with them. We just want to make sure we do it right. So we want to ensure that we're starting with a college, beta testing it, but we're now looking at international colleges. We're looking at government ministries we're talking to about how we can expand these programs. Jack, I'll tell you a very quick, funny story, but I did some work with Steven Spielberg's film studio about 12 years ago and did a remote program with him for the launch of the movie Warhorse. And after that, I went to one of the universities that I know quite well about 3 months later and said, look, we did this great event with Steven Spielberg. We can do this for remote learning and remote education. And the university said to me, no one's ever going to learn online. Like, that's never going to happen. Right?
The wheel. Who needs the wheel? What's that?
Yeah, exactly. And so, so it's sort of like when I invented some stuff for e-commerce, but no one's going to shop online. So this time our attitude is a bit different. We're sort of from Missouri. It's the show me state. We want to get things done and executed, and we're focused on working with great organizations like Lethbridge College.
By the way, who is Leth? I'm not familiar. Where are they located?
Lethbridge is in Alberta, but it's
Okay.
funny because so one of the top animation and technology design colleges in the world is outside of Toronto, Canada, and Ubisoft, Disney, everybody recruits from that. So just because they're a smaller community doesn't mean the quality of their education, their programs aren't phenomenal. And the team there is a phenomenal team. It also gives us an opportunity to not, divert ourselves from a large city or large university and focus on execution with a smaller footprint.
Jeff is asking, can you explain the process of how Aftermath Island landowners, land moguls and tycoons will be able to monetize their land in a timeline to do so?
So very simply, we haven't announced that yet. Right now, we're not treating virtual land as something that players are in the business of monetizing. Right now, it's for enjoyment. We're going to be introducing fair play rules, and we had an AMA this past weekend with many of our supporters, and we talked about that. And really, we're going to give everyone the tools to create their own mini economies for their individual land. And right now we have houses, but we will be introducing commercial buildings, and commercial buildings you'll be able to have tenants simply like other organizations like Decentraland. So there will be a lot of different ways. If you wanted to put a game or a farm and you wanted to mine or harvest items, there's a lot of different plays. Now, I want to also be clear is most metaverses are talking about it's 12, 18, 24, 36 months I've heard to go live. We are going live in stages. Our goal is for Q2 is to launch our play to earn game, and by the end of Q2 to start having some playable surfaces inside Aftermath Island. So we're on a very aggressive timeline right now.
Okay.
That we can't guarantee, but that is our goal.
Okay. Hang on. So we have question here, Eric, one of our top audience members. Any update on the identity verification vertical? This is where the big money is.
Well, again, what we did is in January, we did our proof of concepts with the Ontario Convenience Store Association, and we're now moving to pilots. I know everybody would like things to move quicker, so would ourselves. We were hoping, and it's got nothing to do with our own technology, hoping that the Ontario government would have released by now, because their mandate was to do it last year, their digital identity platform. So we haven't seen that to date. So we're going through our own traditional methodology of verifying an individual, which is fine. That is built and done. And we expect to launch the pilots very shortly. We are also in discussions with many other organizations outside of the Ontario Convenience Store Association because they're liking what they see. And so the technology is ready for pilot and then for commercial launch.
Okay. Let me see, what did I have?
I should mention one other thing, Jack. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We are also developing a really cool new application for digital identity in the metaverse, and that will hopefully be announced in the coming weeks.
Matt is asking, so what other governments or agencies are you speaking with about creating these digital identity solutions for them?
I can't talk about that. I'm sorry. That would put our relationships at risk, and it's not fair to do that without the government saying so. I can tell you that we are talking to governments in a number of countries and their agencies, and so. But to start outlining that is probably a little bit of selective disclosure at this point in time.
Okay. For anybody that just might be watching this for the first time, like how is kind of your virtual land, Aftermath Islands, how is this different from like Sandbox? What is it? Decentraland? Like how is this
Decentraland and Sandbox?
Decentraland, yeah. What's the difference?
Well, I want to start by saying what's similar.
Similar.
Yeah, what's similar. So they're all going to be virtual lands. We're looking to hopefully be more realistic than the other platforms they were very early on and took more of what we would call a voxel art, a Minecraft type of or Roblox type of attitude. We're really focused more on low poly, which is a little more realistic virtual. Decentraland and the Sandbox, and we know the people there are there. They've done a great job. I mean, they are industry leaders and blazing a trail. But like anywhere, if you were to travel today, Jack, you might travel to California, you might travel to Toronto, you might travel to Jamaica, you might travel to France. We believe the metaverse has opportunities for people to go different places. Sandbox and Decentraland right now are singular land locations. They have a fixed number of plots of land. What we are is we're variable. We want to create land based on demand and need. That doesn't mean there isn't scarcity and value propositions based on there, but we're twisting those by creating thematic islands, community islands, and different types of islands. That the scarcity is based on the theme or the opportunity, not just the number of plots of land. And lastly, you can buy our land. Some of that land in Sandbox and Decentraland, unless you have significantly large holdings, you're not buying land. You can buy land inside of Aftermath. That's not what the average person spends, but as low as $35, and you can do it with both crypto and with fiat.
Okay, so with credit card, PayPal. Okay, so no, it's very interesting. So basically, so both are selling land. You're kind of doing this island type of format, so to speak. So each island is its own like little universe. Whether it's I think you had Vegas Island, you had this Cannabis Island, and there could be many oceans in this island. I mean, excuse me, many islands in the ocean. I mean, you can have a lot of islands. Although each island,
but Jack, you could go to future expansion. You go under the sea, you can go into the clouds, and you can go into space. So there's lots of different dimensional opportunities. Now, again, it's not that land is endless, but we're thinking of it in 3 dimensions based on opportunity.
Okay, very interesting. David, let's wrap up here. What's like what should investors? What kind of news flow do you have coming up in the next 30, 60 days? Like what else do you have going on in the metaverse, digital land, identity? Where's most of the sort of focus going to be?
Well, again, we're integrated, Jack. So when we think about digital identity, avatars and NFTs, and then we think about the metaverse. So I think there's going to be a sprinkling of everything. And again, people should not think that it diverts our attention. We think of it as one integrated solution. So where one drives the other and which drives the other. So we've got some great things coming out in the metaverse. We've got some super new technology solutions for NFTs and sales of NFTs, and then an avatar, some really cool stuff. And then our digital identity is really taking a strong leadership position. Take all of that with our new debit card, our payment card, and I think we have a recipe for significant success. The markets are the markets. We understand that. We've done this before. We've been here before on 3 other occasions, and we've seen an inflection point and then a rise. And I'm not suggesting that that's going to happen at any time, because again, everybody needs to do their own due diligence. But what I'm getting at is I think we are poised for success.
Yeah. Look, it's a little bit like 2002, after the dot-com crash, a lot of stocks, tech stocks were all down, 80, 90, 95% in some cases, right? And, but a lot of those companies kept making, even Amazon, I think was down 90% at some point. Doesn't mean that the company was, that's just what the market, whereas, I mean, they were actually becoming more and more valuable by the day. And today we're kind of in a similar situation, whereas in the last, 9 months or so, especially things have accelerated, is that, a lot of the tech stocks, disruptive innovation is down 75%. I mean, if you look at, the Cathie Woods, the ARK, the stocks in their portfolio, stuff is down 75, 90% in some cases. And so it's not, and of course that has, has a sort of a tidal wave effect on, the microcap area. And, Liquid Avatar is definitely not immune, although, the stock has actually held up I think actually the stock has held up pretty well. What is 16 cents, right? The high was 50 cents roughly.
I think it was 55, but that was a blip on the radar.
Yeah, because it was one parabolic. This is like early, this was like last,
Yeah, a lot of people were just getting into the cycle. I think what we've done, Jack, in the last 4 or 5 months is we've declared that we're going to generate revenue. And frankly, I've looked at some of the other stocks in our space, and we're on par with companies that are worth significantly more than us. We're generating the same type of revenue.
Okay, so David, on that note, I want to close out the interview by asking you, our favorite question. I don't think I've asked you in a while, which is, in your opinion, right now, based on everything you've said, what would you say top 3 reasons why investors should consider a liquid avatar right now?
I think the first one is we're doing what we're saying. We're walking the walk and talking the talk. We're talking about things that we're going to do, and we're delivering on that. 2 is that we've moved. It still doesn't mean that we're not doing build and R&D, but we've started to generate revenue, and I think the revenue for our size, a company our size, is significant. And the third, I'm going to say 3A and 3B. We've got a super great team of executives and staff that have delivered on previous deal. And last but not least, on the 3B side, is our programs have exceptional reach. Digital identity can affect over 5 billion people online. Doesn't mean we'll get them all, but we have that integrated solution that supports digital identity, avatars, NFTs, and then the metaverse. So we're really pleased about what we've done. And Jack, as always, thank you for having me here today.
David, thank you. Hopefully, next time you're on, Liquid Avatar can join this list down below that's scrolling, this 10-bagger Pantheon.
I'd love to be there.
You could be number 10. David, on that note, thank you, and
thank you.
We'll follow up with you in about a week.
You got it. Take care, Jack. All the best to everyone.
Okay, let's get ready for our next presenter. Stand by. Okay, hang on. Okay. Marilyn, you there?
Yes, we're here. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can't see you yet.
She's about to come in the frame. Here you go. Hey, Jack. Surprise, surprise.
Okay. Where are you? Okay, there we go.
You can't see me?
Okay, now I see you. Okay, it's strange. The camera is frozen and blurry. What's
Ours?
Yeah, it's kind of frozen and blurry. You want to log out? You want to log out and come back in?
Okay.
Or there's something with the connection on your end. Okay, so stand by, everybody. We got XTM coming up. 1 second. Marilyn?
Hi, Jack.
Okay, I can hear you, but now it's pixelated. Yeah, something is off with the connection.
So you can hear me. Well, everything looks good from our side.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Give us 1 second.
Okay. Okay, stand by. Technical difficulties. We should be ready in about a minute. Marilyn, much better. Okay, much better. All right, fantastic. Okay, let me just get the screen cleared up for a second. Okay, I just want to add. Let me just add something here. Let me just. And XTM. Okay, everything on the screen is correct. Oh, hang on. Slight typo. Okay. All right, everything is good. All right, Marilyn, if you're ready, I'm going to do a quick intro, and we will begin. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, March 23rd, 2022. This is where we bring you those stocks which have that 10x to 100x upside potential, companies going after massive multi-billion-dollar market opportunities that are at a key inflection point right now in their growth cycle. And there are multiple catalysts in place right now which could ignite a substantial increase in shareholder value. And we've had multiple 10-bagger, 20-bagger, 50-bagger stocks in the last few years following this format. And we're going to find out if XTM is going to be the next to join this pantheon of 10x to 100x winning stocks. So with that said, Marilyn, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Jack. Good to be back.
Absolutely. So Marilyn, it's been a little while since we've last had you on, and I think anybody who's been watching, who's been following the news, has noticed that XTM has been making significant inroads into the U.S. So the U.S. market expansion is really kind of underway. I think this is the key theme here.
You're right. It is. It is the key theme. And I think, Jack, if I could set this conversation off with the good news is that, we're focused on fundamentals. We're moving along really nicely. We're ahead of plan. The bad news is, in a publicly traded market, the market is soft. And, micro caps are getting punished for sure in the marketplace. And then flipping around again to the good news, but this creates opportunity for investors. So we really are excited about our future. And I know every entrepreneur and founder says that. I feel it's especially relevant right now. We're dealing in real tangibles. We have a real company. We're signing clients, real contracts, and our foray into the U.S. market is going beautifully. We're very positive about what we're doing and that there's a need for what it is that we're offering.
Yeah, I was just with previous guest, we were just talking about this, is that a lot of people are looking at a stock and they say, oh, the stock is it's down or it's not going anywhere, and they have to keep this in it's in the context of the broader theme of what's happening in the market on NASDAQ. You're in the fintech space, and most of the fintech stocks are off 80%. I mean, whether it's I don't know, SoFi. I mean, you go through the whole list. What is it? Upstart. I mean, I could go. It's ARK Innovation Fund. Actually, XTM, coincidentally, has actually held up quite well, in this market. I mean, the stock is, let's just say it's actually outperformed. It's outperformed the fintech index, like literally. I think if anybody did a matchup, but not that we want to compare you to like other stocks, but because XTM on its own, we're looking at as a 10x upside. So with that said, I want to kind of dive into the recent news. Then I want to kind of maybe also explain to people what the company is about in case we have new people. But for people watching right now, let's talk about the news just was it the other day with point of sale integration. So you just announced that you're integrating into 20 POS systems in the US market. Can you explain the significance of this, like how that's going to impact growth?
Sure. So a point of sale system is integral to any business, especially the restaurant and salon, any merchant. But the point of sales that we have now accelerated our integration to are restaurant and services focused. Now, there's a lot of heavy lifting on the engineering side to get integrated with each point of sale. Through our partnerships, we've been able to integrate once with 20-fold penetration. So so what that means, if I can bring it down to layman's terms, is you're in a restaurant, you leave me a gratuity, for example, of $20. And you do that through your point of sale. You put your credit card into the point of sale. You leave me the $20. It's the end of the shift. Now, that point of sale is also integrated with time and attendance and all the other technology platforms that a restaurant is using to run their operations. Now, typically it would be super complicated, and the operator would have to extract data, determine, who gets what and how many hours, what my earnings are. We're now integrated with these point of sales to enable that operator to pay me out, not only my gratuity, but also my wage and expenses if they're relevant in the same day I work there. So it's a huge acceleration. It's a huge pain point for service employees, to incentivize them to come back to work, to return to the workforce. And now through this integration, we've automated a big, huge swath of the process. So it's a significant announcement.
Okay, so in other words, before this integration, if somebody wanted to use the Today program, your system, what would that mean? They would have to do it manually? So in other words, does this essentially is this going to accelerate sales potential? Like how is this going to have an impact? Like immediately? Like what are we going to see?
Yeah, for sure it will. So there's two ways of integrating with our system. We have some businesses who choose to upload a CSV file at the end of a shift and automatically pay their staff that way. And then others where we're integrated at the point of sale. The point of sale is way less friction. So
it's automatic. It's automatic, basically.
Right.
And nobody has to do anything.
If you think, for example, a company like Lightspeed, who is a Canadian company, but well known across the America and Canada as a point of sale for restaurants. They have over 114,000 restaurants on their platform. So that gives us access to accelerate and to scale at huge levels to have access to all of those restaurants.
So essentially this announcement, I think the significance of this is it takes away the friction. It makes it easy for customers to use your system. It makes it like, I call it it's like idiot proof. Why would they not want to do this? This is like, there's no effort. The hardest thing in the world is to sell something to somebody, like where they have to learn about it. There's effort now it's like easy. It's like, it's almost like, so let's actually take a moment to explain exactly what you're doing. What is XTM? What is the Today program? Like what for anybody that's brand new, and then we'll talk again about the significance of this.
Well, sir, I'll talk about our go-to-market product, which is now exponentially changed and grown. But what we came to market with was a solution, and is a solution to pay out gratuities in the form of a digital payment. So it's an app and a mobile wallet and a prepaid debit card. So in Canada, it's a MasterCard. In the United States, it's a Visa. So that's what we went to market with, always with the full intention of further monetizing that and creating a much bigger ecosystem than just gratuities. So, and that's what we're doing. And the announcement about the point of sale that we put out in a press release this week is an example of the acceleration that you're going to see from XTM over the next coming weeks. I'm not even going to say months because I'm going to say weeks. We are, we're not going to grow this in a methodical, step-by-step way. We're going to grow this in an exponential way. That's our style. That's what we did in Canada and what we're going to do in North America. So you're going to see more automation, more partnerships, more relationships that help catapult us into new markets.
Okay. One thing we should add is, we talk about the issues of paying out those tips, but especially like in the US, like a lot of restaurants and hospitality, they have something, they have this pooled tips, right? Where a lot of people get tips, not just the waiter, but it could be the manager, this guy, that, it's all percentage wise. Your system essentially does that all automatically. They're all able to get the money the same day. Bottom line, again, if anybody, what this does is, it's a competitive advantage for restaurants, especially in today's hiring market where people, essentially you can tell potential employees, hey, come to work for us. You're going to get paid the same day, your tips, everything immediately. And one thing you mentioned, I think very important last time is this helps retain employees, but even if they go somewhere else, I think they're going to be hooked kind of on the system. They end up serving as kind of your ambassador. So this really can help this thing go viral. And now you mentioned Lightspeed has 128,000.
Last time I looked, 114,000 restaurants. I'm sure it's bigger than that now.
Okay. So let's call it 114,000 restaurants in the US. Let's say how many in Canada? What percentage of the market do you have right now for this?
Well, it depends how you define the market. So we've typically gone after restaurant groups. And the reason we've done that is to exploit our resources, basically, is that it takes as much time almost to sign on an individual independent restaurant as it does a group that has 10,000 users, for example. So we have the lion's share of that market in Canada. And through partnerships, we're going to be able to double our size in if you take Canada and then look at the US, we're going to be able to double that very, very quickly. Again, through partnerships, through relationships. So, and you talked a little bit, Jack, about tip pooling. That's a real pain point for restaurant operators in that math can become not only complicated, but also litigious from the perspective that if you're not paying your employees properly, you're open to lawsuits. And there has been precedent set for that in a number of restaurants across the United States where employees have won lawsuits against restaurants for multiple millions of dollars because the improper math was applied to the way the tips are allocated. So what we've done is we saw, okay, there's another pain point, let's build it. So we built it and we're doing that math based on the way you run your restaurant. So you receive our software, you subscribe to our software, very low monthly basis, but you subscribe to it and you were able to put your rules and your regulations into our software to be able to mirror the way you're running your business.
Okay. Meryl, I think, this is such a huge thing because, again, in the US, it's a very litigious society. I know exactly what this thing about tipping. There was a bunch of big lawsuits. I forgot which was the restaurant chain, but it was exactly regarding this. So what you're doing essentially is for very little money, essentially it's like an insurance policy that you're basically taking away that potential liability, which could be massive because, you have, because not only do you have the employees, then all of a sudden you got the the state payroll tax, all this stuff, it all gets in, it becomes a nightmare. So, I think now you're dealing with primarily your customers are mostly, more corporate type chains right now, but at some point you're going to really expand to, all restaurants. I mean, really the mass, a lot of those places, right? And,
And I was just going to say, Jack, I'm so excited to, as I was doing some reconnaissance, we've been doing a lot of finance meetings, meeting with a lot of investment banks. And as I was doing a reconnaissance, I asked for the list, of what we get in through our website. And I was astounded at the number of inbound queries that we're getting from restaurants from every demographic. Obviously, we're filling a need at the proper time. So you're right. The small, the large, they're coming in, and very little sales effort. They're coming in because they hear about us. They have a pain point. We're free to the restaurant, so why wouldn't you choose this?
Yeah, I mean, it's all the benefits are there, but even more important, I think, than the benefits is this. You're taking away that liability of not only the litigation potential with this stuff, which is, again, it's pretty crazy in the U.S. But again, it creates a lot of friction with employees. Well, how do they know that they got X percentage, and was it calculated properly? Because this system is essentially creates transparency and audit trail, what have you. But it really makes it professionalizes the whole system. And I think once you expand to the mass market, all the smaller restaurants and everything else, they're really going to have to use your system. Okay, I think I should also emphasize in the U.S., the market that you're going after, restaurants, clubs, hospitality, service. So it's not it's haircuts, right? Haircuts, I don't know, nail service, whatever it is, whatever it is, right? Any place where there's service, where there are tips involved, which in the U.S. is huge. $1 trillion market, a trillion with a T, it's $1 trillion market in the U.S., all that combined. And you're providing an important service for these people, which is very sticky. So this becomes something which becomes ingrained in their system. You have this recurring revenues, all that good stuff coming in. So it's pretty exciting. I just want so we had a comment here, Andre Philippe, I think he's been on before. So you're expecting 30 million revenues this year, Marilyn?
Yes.
So right now the market cap is 70 million, roughly, right? So the stock is trading at 2x revenues. This is a fintech company, 2x revenues. The comps in the space typically are like 10x plus, which is so just for the stock, I think to catch up to fair value would have to be 5x from here. So I don't know, almost $2 per share. I mean, so there's like a built-in path. Let's call it, I'll be conservative. Let's just say $1.50 a share. I mean, just to catch up to the valuation, it doesn't count. That doesn't even consider any growth. Looking at this, your whiteboard behind you, I'm trying to see if there's any information we can get, any kind of insider information there, potential growth. But there's a lot of. It looks like you got stuff going on there. So I think there's a lot of things that the market's not even aware of. I mean, like this news, I don't think anybody was expecting all this news flow you have right now.
We're a very busy company. We're growing exponentially. We're trying to be super smart with our resources. Our CFO, if he was here, he would be muzzling me because I don't want to provide guidance, and I do have a tendency to do that. I want to say that our projections, our performers are based on a number of things that aren't yet disclosed. So I have to be careful about that. But what I will say is that we are. You would need to have some faith in what it is that we're doing. I think we've proved ourselves that we can execute. We're really good executors. We've proved that with the market we have, and our partnerships are strong. Our executive team is strong. We're hiring from within the services and hospitality space because it is a dynamic that is very unique and bespoke. And I think that's one of our advantages in the marketplace, is that we are very, very focused on the exact pain points of a restaurant or a salon or a hotel or a golf club, anything that provides service. How can we make them better? And what we've noticed too is there's a number of best-in-class solutions out there. We're trying to create a single stop, one place to get your whole ecosystem of support to run these businesses effectively and efficiently.
Yeah. And again, so the big theme, I think, which is important, I think the reason why the stock is kind of trading where it is right now is that, a lot of investors, like right now, most of your audience up till now, I mean, has been in Canada up till recently. Like right now, we're starting to see a big pickup in US trading in the OTC shares. So I think people were thinking before, okay, this is a Canadian company focused on a very small market in the hospitality in Canada. There's only 20 million people there. Now, the big story is you're going into the US market, which is, 15 times bigger, 15 times, it's $1 trillion market, which is, I think, one of the reasons all of a sudden we're starting to see a pickup in US trading of, XTMIF, right? And I think what we're going to see is that's going to flip in the next couple of months where almost all the volume is going to be it's going to be like 10 times the volume of Canada. And then the valuation is going to catch up because now investors will understand that you're not just a little Canadian company in a small market. You're really going after, a massive $1 trillion opportunity. And that's, when we're going to have a revaluation event. I just want to add, before we get into questions, we got a bunch of good questions. So you added, again, the company, as you said, there's constant, not only just the exponential growth, but there's also constant, incremental improvements on your existing systems. Like I think a few weeks ago, you added, the Apple and Google Pay to the Today thing, the card. So it's there. The improvement is constant. So it's like every day that goes by, it seems like the company is the franchise gets more and more, stronger, whatever the word is.
Our engineering team is organized that way. So we've got Chad Arthur, who is our Chief Technology Officer. He's got a group that is focused on innovation, research and development, and a group that is focused on our current system and making sure it's flawless, that the user experience is excellent. We've got a product team run by Kia Nunes, who focuses on the user experience and making sure that any improvements, as we look at our cycle of feedback from our users, that we constantly improve. So we've got a number of innovations on our roadmap that we intend, including we've recently launched cashback rewards. So you can actually earn money as a user, as an end user. So that makes it even more attractive and stickier. And some of our members are, generating, in the neighborhood of $100. It's just launched, so I can't say hundreds of dollars, but the potential is there to earn money every month, and that's a big thing for these.
Yeah, I think, and it's important to understand. So the end users, right? People who work in the restaurant and hospitality industry, right? A lot of younger people. There's inflation right now. Gas prices are skyrocketing, right? Yeah. So it costs them, all of a sudden it costs somebody, real money to get to work. A lot of people, let's say, somebody's in LA, it might be costing them $50 a day in gas, literally to get to their job, right? Just a couple, 20-minute trip might cost them $50, right? So people, the end customers that you have, there's more and more incentive for people to use this on the pull and the push side of the market. And again, as you add more and more innovation, the stickiness grows, the franchise power increases, and the valuation increases. So at some point, the market wakes up, and it could be in a few months, as the market stabilizes, hopefully, the world peace breaks out, whatever. But then that's where we could see, all of a sudden, market wakes up, the stock could be 10x higher. So let's get to some audience questions here. Okay, Andre Philippe, he's got like a bunch of questions. Could you give us an outlook on cash and cash equivalents at end of March, ballpark?
I don't think I can do that. Our CFO, if you send me a DM, Andre Philippe, I will be able to answer that. I just have to be careful of what I disclose, what I don't disclose in this forum. Sorry about that, but I'm happy to see what I can answer on that.
Next question is great to hear about restaurants. Could you provide an outlook on strategic initiatives in entertainment, sports venue, golf, hospitality? So I mean, there's other beyond. There's other so let's talk about this. Like golf. Let's say what is a golf pro?
Yeah, that one I can answer.
Pro, whatever. I don't know. Fitness, the trainers, right?
Yeah,
The
that
trainers and gyms. That's a huge market.
for sure. For sure, there's and there's also even in the construction space, there's a lot of laborers that are being paid on in an incremental way. We've had that opportunity as well. But focused on hospitality, I will tell you that we've organized ourselves around Canada, US, and then around the verticals within those countries. So we have we're happy that we are signing hotels, we're signing golf courses. I think you as shareholders, you really are interested in the US. So we haven't even told you about what we've been signing in Canada. The growth has been exponential in those categories.
By the way, one thing is, we talk about the inflation thing, but look, it really is, because there is significant inflation, and the labor market tightness, everything else, the whole tipping thing is really becoming bigger and bigger. For example, there's it used to be when you went to like a takeout restaurant, right? Like before there wasn't even like a Starbucks or whatever, like there was never really tipping, right? Now, then they start putting out like a little jar, people put it like whatever, which is, I don't know, like I'm paying like, okay, now I go to a takeout place. It's a kind of takeout place. And yeah, I'm not using cash. I'm rarely using cash. I'm using a card, right? Credit card, debit card. And when I put it in, all of a sudden it says automatically, basically, it kind of, the default is you have to give a tip. I mean, the default, it makes it like you really have to go through a couple of extra steps not to tip. So all of a sudden, now I have to give and these tips are now no longer, I think it's no longer even 15%. They now they put in 25, 26% as a starting point. I've seen, so like the tipping thing is becoming bigger and bigger. So there's a lot of tailwinds that are going to be pushing XTM in the months, the years ahead. I mean, it's the company's really at the right time, the right place at the right time. And at some point, again, if the market's going to wake up to this. Let me see. There's a question here. Dina was asking, I think in the US, there's I think who said that tips should be included in the price of whatever you're buying, because that's not, no, tips are always going to be on top. The US, it's never going to be included.
They've done all kinds of trials with that, and they've tried it. But the reality is that as a diner, as someone at a restaurant, you want to reward for good service. And you also want the power to be able to hold back if you're not getting good service. So and then as a worker in the service industry, you also you're not going to be incentivized to work if you're getting a flat fee. What the incentive is that you're going to give extra service, you're going to be, excellent, and you're going to get rewarded for that. So they've tried it both ways. We're not very worried about that at all as a trend.
By the way, one thing I want to add, you were talking about the one of the things that's really, I think, is going to push, adoption, massive increase in adoption of, this, when you get this thing on the POS and the tip, the pooling. What do you call it? Pool sharing? I think pool. What's the technical
word? Pooling. Yeah, it's called tip pooling. It's basically tip application. Yeah.
Yeah. So the tip pooling, the big thing I think is going to be, because you're essentially an insurance policy. You're taking away this potential, litigation, which could be more than what they're making. Because I just realized I have seen billboards in I forgot where I saw it, but billboards regarding this, like something like from a lawyer. Hey, have you been like screwed from tips, or something about the tipping thing? I remember seeing that specifically. So there's a lot of very hungry lawyers out there in the U.S. in like in service in Las Vegas, service heavy places in New York. I've seen billboards, right? And so they're trolling for clients. I mean, I think any restaurant that's in their, anybody doing any business at all that doesn't want any headaches should be using your system. I mean, it's like,
what we've done, we've brought a level of sophistication to the operations of a business, of a restaurant, that they haven't formally have. And when you think about it, one of our partners, I think their motto is, focus on the food, not the finance. So when you think about it, a restaurant, they're artists. They're coming in, they're delighting you with this fabulous experience and great food. But typically, more than 70% of restaurants fail shortly after launch because of these very reasons, because they haven't had the proper systems in place, maybe not even the proper people in place to be able to run it. We're solving that for them. Our goal is to make those restaurants so successful that they don't have to think about the back office. And we want to do it for very little money. So to impel them and propel them and support them in doing really well.
Yeah, no, it's a key thing, because again, this is the last thing that any restaurant wants to do, especially not these big chains. You're dealing right now with big corporate chains, but smaller mom and pops, they don't want to deal with this stuff. So this really is a major help. Marilyn, let's wrap up. So the big thing I think for investors to watch, in my opinion, you tell me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, the big thing that's going to move the stock in the next probably weeks, months ahead is going to be US market expansion. That's the theme that everybody's going to be looking at. So what's planned? What kind of news flow can we expect in the coming weeks regarding this US market expansion?
So there's this expression, good things come to those who wait. And many of you who have been in the stock for a long time, you've been patient, and I recognize some of your names here because I've had emails from you over the past, our anniversary. This is our anniversary month, March. We went public March 2020. So here we are, March 2022. I think what you're gonna want to watch is our M&A activity. You're going to want to watch our partner activity, and you're going to want to watch our rollout and our successes in the US, in very aggressive, very ambitious over the next, the period it will be, but I think of most impact is over the next couple of months.
Marilyn, you mentioned M&A. What do you have? You have something planned in terms of acquisitions?
So, we're always looking at potential partners. Anyone, what makes sense to us is, I call it, peanut butter and jam, where there's no redundancy and there's no overlap. That's really of interest to us. And we have a number of opportunities that we're ambitiously chasing.
Okay. So there's a pipeline of potential acquisitions?
Yes.
Do you expect anything to close, let's call next, 90 days? Any possibility of 90 days?
Jack. You're trying to get me arrested here. I will say that, we are certainly hopeful. It's business as usual for us right now. There's a team of us that are just not distracted, but focused on M&A, and the rest of the company is focused absolutely on our day-to-day. We hope to have a number of announcements through 2022 that will put us on an absolutely new level as a company.
So you're saying you have people in the company focused full-time on M&A?
Well, the executive team, our CFO, myself, our head of US business.
Okay. So it's a priority. You're saying it's like
it is a priority.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so it's not like something. It's front. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, so on that note, Marilyn, I want to thank you, and we look forward to getting more updates in the coming weeks. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn, again.